Welcome to another episode of Are You Mad at Me? I'm Vickie Morgan.
And I'm Josh Morgan.
Well, welcome back.
You're already mad.
It's been a week, I'll tell you. I have a question for the boy on the podcast.
Okay.
So women have this thing where like every 24 to 28 days, we get really, really smart. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mean, I would imagine a doctor would say it's related to hormone levels and things like that. Like there's some changes that happen in a girl's body, in a woman's body, that make her really super smart and really intuitive and extra creative for a certain period of the month, for a 28-day cycle.
Sure.
So do boys have that? Like, so are boys just really smart all the time, or really, really dumb all the time, or is it like some kind of middle in between? Like, you don't have hormonal fluctuations that bring out superpowers. Is that true?
Unless it's related to a girl in the house that you wanna stay out of the way for, let the creativity happen, and stay out of the way for 5 to 7 days.
Okay, that's a bit much. That'd kill us if it was 5. Do you remember in My Girl when she
don't come back for 5 to 7 days?
She shoves him across she shoved Macaulay Culkin. She's don't come back for 5 to 7 days. It was such an exciting time early on. So listeners, if you're a boy, you can just fast forward. Josh, put a little marker on this, like just skip ahead.
I'll wave like this, and when I do this, yeah. No.
Just wave a little white flag when it's time to come back in. I'm noticing I'm finally able to name it now that I'm approaching an end to all of it. I get a little bit crazy every 4 weeks. I also get like superpower smart, super creative. I want to do everything and cry at the drop of a hat and flare of anger.
Like somebody turns the gain up.
So there's a lot of extra noise and static.
The master gain.
Yeah, so if your noise floor is messy, when you turn it up, you're going to see a whole lot of, what do you call that? Artifacts. It's going to be a whole lot of artifacts.
Peaks and valleys.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can really notice it. But it's also a good time for a cleaning house, whether it's actually cleaning or cleaning out your uterus.
Making stuff happen.
I think it's kind of a cruel joke at this age to still be having monthly visitors, because I don't know why I'm being delicate about it. I don't know why women at this age have periods, because we can't have kids, so it's just to make everybody around us crazy, I think, and drive us a little bit crazy. So I'm not appreciating that. So come on, menopause. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to the menopause. I don't care about hot flashes. I mean, I've never had one, but I'm looking forward to the end of the wearing diapers and being grumpy and brilliant, and also grumpy and moody and,
I gotta say, I don't think there's
sweaty and irritable. And did I mention grumpy?
I don't think there's many men that would envy women their super creative time. Like, I think
Is that what we're calling it?
I think the male population is like, sorry you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I do not wish to deal with it.
So back in the day when we were in, when I was going to, I think SMCC in Maine, I was taking a women's...
Southern Maine Community College?
Yes. And I did go to regular university and regular college and all those other things.
Yes, this was just where we started in Maine.
Yeah, and there was a whole lot of transfer. Why am I qualifying it? Anyway, I took a class at a community college, and it was women's studies.
So did Jeff Winger, and look where he is.
That's right.
He's a lawyer.
Well, that's a fictional character, but okay. So, and sense of humor also non-existent, and also the funniest time in my life. I think I should start doing comedy sets about premenstrual, about crazy period stuff. There's not much of a market for it. But
I thought you were going to say you should start doing comedy just during those few days.
Yes, absolutely during. Oh my God, can you
imagine? Like if somebody got in touch and said, "Do you want to do 5 minutes tonight?" Be like, "Well, how about next week?"
Can I have a hot water bottle and some ibuprofen? But I think that there'd be a lot of material. I think I should plan on writing the most of my creative stuff in that period of time. What was I going to say? Oh, and forgetfulness. That also happens. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? This, like how this feels and what it's like. Because it's crazy
I'm
making.
sure you're not alone.
But it's also like the brightest, like I'm like hypersensitive. Like I'm Spider-Man. I got spider senses. And it's like I can sense things happening across the road. And sometimes it's not happening. And it's like, oh. And then it's like, oh. And then there's this like moment of, oh, there's my regular brain coming back. Oh, that's embarrassing. Oh, did I actually say that stuff? Oh my God. Anyway, what was I saying? Comedy sets. So I think there'd be a very small market for jokes about menopause and about being grumpy when you're about to get your period. And And also, like, I'm not actually grumpy during the period. It's the lead. Anyway, it's a whole magical thing that happens to women. But I think there would be people who would identify with it. And I think there's a whole uprising of women my age who are sharing these things. I don't know. I think people who get it would get it.
We did watch that. What was the show? Small Achievable Goals, about
Yes.
two women doing a podcast that turned out to be about menopause.
I learned so much about my body, my growing, wonderful woman body. But
we watched what was that show? It was a Nick Kroll show, the cartoon
Big Mouth.
Mm-hmm. And it was like we watched that with the kids, and we figured it was better than them watching it by themselves. But they had so many questions answered, and then we were like, we're getting lots of questions answered because it was all about kids going through puberty.
I learned about my body,
and
I really
what
did.
happens and what the change, and then it was like adults doing. It was.
Yeah, they all had these like they had these side characters, shadow people that kind of followed them around and had their explained a lot of stuff. It was like that movie Inside Out.
Yeah,
it had put a lot of words on feelings and things like that.
But educational comedy shows, that's where it's at.
I don't know if it was meant to be. I think it was actually intended to be
really do think
fairly
it was,
educational. Yeah. So, and I haven't seen the next Inside Out. Is that what it's called?
I think there might be a third one coming out.
Okay, so I need to catch up on those. But the first one was fantastic, and I learned a lot about feelings. And I know this sounds facetious. Facetious. Look at me using a big word that I don't understand.
Nailed it.
I'm not trying to be facetious, and I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Talking about putting labels and stuff on feelings, and sometimes not knowing what the hell's going on with your body is really, like, puberty was awful. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I thought I maintained it. Like, our friends in my age group, we didn't have the knowledge that kids have now. We didn't have access to the same information. And of course, going back another generation was worse. I mean, the wives' tales that got passed down about reproductive things and what happens to your body and all that stuff. Anyway, I was so excited to get a period, and man, oh man, you can have it back now. Whatever that.
You're good.
But there is SMCC. When I was going to SMCC, I took a women's studies course, and I can't remember. I'm still friends with the professor. But no, I'm friends with a different professor.
That was the biology class that we took together.
Yeah.
Where we learned about different bodies.
Yes. We've taken lots of classes. My point is this. We had a discussion one day. It was a women's studies class, and there was a lot of people who were a lot younger than me in the class for some reason. I guess because I just went when I was an old lady. But we were talking about periods, and I had this analogy all queued up. It just dawned on me, and obviously I was going through a period at that period. But I said something like, you got to imagine that you're getting ready for a party, that you're going out and getting all these decorations, and you're putting out all this food and cake and finger foods and all these things, and you're getting ready, which is basically your body is lining the uterus to hopefully be impregnated and carry a baby. So you're getting ready, and it's a really exciting time. So your creativity is kind of peaking at that point too. And then somebody knocks on the door and says, the party's canceled. By the way, you're going to be in pain for a few days. Of course you're going to be grumpy. Your whole body is disappointed because it got ready to do this thing, and then it finds out that it doesn't need it. And so, of course, there's going to be some hormone things. Now, I'm sure there's stuff goes on in boy bodies as well. Yeah, a couple of people there that day said it was a good analogy, and I don't know where it came from. But anyway, it stuck with me. So yeah, I don't know if men have any fluctuations. I've heard that there's like some sort of thing that happens in middle age where there's called andropause, but we're not going to know about that because you're never going to get old. You're going to be my hot young husband forever.
That really sounds like something somebody would say right before they murdered me. You're never going to get old.
I watched some Saturday Night Live the other night, and there was a whole lot of stuff. I'm sorry. It wasn't a recent episode. It was an episode that Nate Bargatze was on where there was a sketch about the Hallmark Channel doing a Halloween version of a love story, and it was all about how women are obsessed with murder stories. I don't know why that is either. And I would imagine that if you checked cycles, if there was any way to track them like Dwight Schrute on The Office, I bet you if you could track cycles, there's a whole lot of murder documentary watching during that period of time because you're just angry. And I keep saying that I crochet instead of murdering people, but I think it's probably related to the most productive times are when I'm trying to channel negative energy. I don't know if it's negative energy, just frustration. I wanted to produce something. And anyway, and that's just a cruel joke on the world. There was, 15, 20 years of reproductive, it's not even an ability. It's just like a leftover. The factory is still working. And it's like, boys, there's nothing there. The trucks aren't even out there to take the shipment. You're not making anything anymore. And it's like maybe
hundreds of years ago. Well, I mean, hundreds, thousands of years ago. Whenever the lifespan was shorter, people lived to be like 35, 40 years old, maybe. So this was like, it wasn't like there's all this time where you can't have kids anymore. And you're still
exist.
Like, yeah, it just didn't exist.
They were dead. So for men who can reproduce up until they're dead, like the day before they croak, they can still reproduce.
Yeah.
Their stuff is still good. Isn't that kind of a funny thing?
The party never gets canceled.
Yeah. There's always a party in your pants. Always. You're always ready to go. Now, I would say that there's probably some fluctuations when in different states of arousal for men. Like there's sometimes when there's no thought at all, and then there's lots of thought. When are men smart? When is the actual smart times?
I'll let you know when I find out.
Not actual smart. I didn't mean to say actual. I mean the extreme. But I just wonder what it's like to just have a regular mood all the time. I mean, men have depression and anxiety.
Yeah, everybody gets moody. I think everybody has different levels of.
Anyway, this is what we're talking about on the podcast this week. Yeah. So I am. It's a perfect storm, I guess, because I am in the middle of. I wouldn't say changing careers. I'm shifting gears.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading a lot of Julia Cameron stuff, and she's brilliant. And I got 2 books that I meant to bring down and to the studio and forgot. But there's a couple of really good books that I'm working through. She has one that's a bunch of sketches, and it's called How to Avoid Being an Artist. And I think she did it with her daughter or her son, and her kid drew a bunch of sketches to illustrate what Julia was saying, like whatever the line was for that day. Like, here's another way to avoid being an artist, and do all your other chores first, and make to-do lists that keep you away from it and all that stuff. But there's this other book called, I got a hardcover one from the library. It's got like a gold kind of cover, and it's called Walking the Walk or Walking the something. Anyway.
Hang on, I just saw it because it was in our Amazon cart.
Oh, good. We haven't purchased one.
We haven't bought it yet, but it's in the cart. Along with a new camera bag because our zipper broke on ours.
Yikes. I can sew that. See? Again, put that on my list. Put that up in the pile of projects.
We need a bigger one anyway.
I also need to hem our curtains.
Walking in This World, the Practical Art of Creativity.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
It's brilliant. There's a whole lot of stuff in. Yes, it is.
You act like that was a different book altogether.
No, that's it. I just didn't know that was the name of it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there about channeling your creative, channeling your anger, frustration, whatever, into creative stuff. And there's a whole lot of stuff in there that really resonates with me. And this is not a recommendation to not go to therapy, because therapy's great. But there's a whole lot of life-saving information in there, or her opinion, that I agree with, about putting your creative endeavors. Like, it really helps you turn your frustration with life, grief, anger, loss, whatever, turning it into something that is tangible. Whether it's a poem or a song or a book or a vase or a flower arrangement or a gardening, growing some tomatoes or whatever it is, like channeling or transmuting is the word. That's what Neville Goddard calls it. But it's really it really helps. And there's a whole lot of, she'll tell this little anecdote, and then she'll say, this is when you go to therapy, they're asking you to dig up why you are the way you are. Whereas creativity helps you just be who you are and make things from that. And that doesn't mean you need to be anything. It just is whatever it is, cooking, baking, washing the dishes, whatever kind of stuff makes you feel good, is really, because digging into why life is the way it is, like, who cares why it is the way it is? Like, what difference does it make? There was some line in there about you go to therapy to find out why other people are the way they are, which had an impact on you. And it's like, well, who cares? Like, I did a psychology.
You can't change that.
I wanted to get a psychology degree because I wanted to figure out why everything was the way it was. And it turns out it doesn't matter. And the actual program that I found helpful for my own mental health was the communication program, which just what's that word? Like a reduction sauce. What's that when it gleans all the information down?
Reduce it down to the important stuff.
Word. I'm thinking alchemy, but I don't even know what that. Anyway, there's something about what's actually communication. Like, when some people are trying to one person's trying to say something, there's a whole lot of stuff that can get in the way of it being received the way it was intended. And it kind of comes down to communication issues. And sometimes people are just jerks, and they're trying to say really shitty things, and you're not receiving it the right way, or you're receiving it exactly the right way. Again, The brain is on fire today. I'm so anxious.
Does this have anything?
So anxious.
Does this have anything to do with why we made 2 full meatloafs last night?
Lasagnas?
Different. Oh, lasagnas. Yeah, sorry. We made 2 full different flavor lasagnas last night.
It helped. The night before that, I made chocolate chip cookies and a banana bread at 2 a.m. So, but you have cake.
I'm
What's
not complaining.
the problem?
I'm not complaining.
It sounds like
this
complaining
is not
to
a
me.
complaint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, exactly. You're the problem.
We have,
or you can just take me over to the hospital and get this stuff took right out.
hey,
Like you would to an old dog that's going around,
sure, I could do that at home for half the price.
Is that right? You can do a hysterectomy. I'm not advocating for hysterectomy.
Well, so that is where your uterus went.
Yeah.
I was in the office.
It's just, just a really fun, magical time for women. And I'm not like... So anyway, Julia Cameron also talks a lot about when you're shifting from an old life to a new life. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens in your brain. So there's not a whole lot of books out about that stuff. But Julia Cameron has a book about becoming an artist in midlife as well. So that's really fantastic because it's never too late. But there's just like a whole lot of anxiety showing up.
Which one is that?
I don't remember. I think it's called The Artist's Way in Midlife or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. Yeah. She has a bunch of offshoots from The Artist's Way, which is a life-changing book if you're looking for if you're looking for a little hot tip this week from our podcast, I'd recommend getting a copy of The Artist's Way from the library even. You don't need to buy it. I mean, you can. But and
if Julia Cameron is listening, we'll take sponsorship and we'll talk about your books every week.
I don't know if an author could sponsor anything. They're not making money. Authors don't make a whole lot of money. Yeah, but there's lots of big changes. So we had a couple of shows last week.
Yes.
And
we talked about these last week on the podcast. Getting ready to do them, and now they're done.
Yep. The Multicultural Women's Organization was about 250 people. I was expecting 25.
Yeah,
so
it was
that was a lot.
Crowded space.
That went really well, and then we jettisoned over to Peter Easton, and I feel like I don't know where I'm headed with this one, but
okay.
Here's what happened. This is my opinion of what happened, and maybe you should tell what you think happened on Friday night at Peter Easton Pub. Tell me how things went, and then I'll tell my version of it, and we'll see. Is she okay?
Okay. Well, we can talk about how great the Multicultural Festival was first.
Yeah.
Because that was the first show. And it was really, there was tons of people, tons of food.
Yeah. There was like 17 different countries represented.
And there was lots of, it was dancing,
it was really
singing, music. A couple people sat down and played the piano at one point together. It was pretty nice. And so we had all the food. We took the boys with us. They had a little bit of everything. But then we played a 5-minute set. And what did we play? 2 songs. And got a really fantastic response, and everybody was super generous and fun and happy, and it was a great show. And then the people that put it together was the lady's name, Miranda, that was setting up all the cabs for everybody and doing the welcome for all the artists and everything. It was really well put together.
Very well done.
And fun.
Yep. And it was a really nice facility, so we had a view of the city at the Amera Innovation Center.
Yeah, there was a guy that worked...
There's pictures on our Mulberry Creek page.
There was a guy that worked for Amera that was doing sound, and it wasn't a huge setup. It was just like a little mixer and stuff. But every 5 or 7 minutes, he had to change out the stage for a completely different. It wasn't just like 2 microphones set up, and he just was doing levels of the whole. It was sometimes it was 2 microphones set up. Sometimes it was no microphone. Sometimes the microphone was over by the piano and over by the drums. Like it was so. This guy was running and super nice and helpful. I told him what we needed. He was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And
when I saw the lineup and they told us we were playing for 5 minutes, I was like, we are going to be so far behind because the changeover, because when you go to a concert, it's at least 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour. And turns out, I don't know that that's overly necessary.
And I was seeing musicians.
I think there's some kind of method to that where it's like, no, the audience needs to go buy drinks or I think there's like the ferry, the ferry takes extra long going from Newfoundland to Nova Scotia, and it's not because it needs to, it's because they want people to spend money on the boat. Anyway,
I was noticing a lot of musicians standing by the stage before their set with their guitar and cord and like ready to go.
They were also ready to go.
Like the musicians were like,
yeah, I don't think it's a necessarily oh my God, my brain's not working, obviously my dictionary's not open, but it's not a it's not a problem. It's not I think it's on purpose that there's such a long
it's by design.
changeover.
Yeah.
By design, thank you. It's meant to be that way. It's not that the musicians aren't ready to go.
That's one thing that happened at Peter Easton afterwards is we're like, well, we're going to do a break between the two sets.
On purpose.
And was like, yeah, well, people are going to go buy drinks, so let's give them a chance to get up and go spend some money in the bar.
So, and how do you think the show went?
Sorry, that was bad timing. I think the show was a lot of fun.
I'll ask again. We can cut that out. How do you think the show went?
The show was a lot of fun. We got there and had a chance to do a little sound check. And the Peter Easton supplied a sound person and a door person. Who was it that did sound? Bert Power did sound. He was very nice, and Evan did the door, and it was super helpful. Yeah,
it was great.
And then Jeff played. Weak Smile. Jeff Ronan played.
He was so good.
He did about an hour of all originals. Oh, he did a cover. He did one cover, a Woody Guthrie song. And he had a lot of people that came out to see him, like maybe 15 people came out to see him or so. And that was nice. Big crowd was there.
Yeah. So I am going to go back to the very original idea for Are You Mad at Me? And it was, as an artist, looking around going, where are my friends?
Yeah.
Where are they? Like, what's the... And so here's what I adjusted this weekend. It's, I think, putting labels on things is kind of holding me back in my life. Because it's, like, were there people there? Yes. Like, when I did Feast of Cohen in January, I played and sang in front of 800 new people that have never heard of me. I had one person. My cousin showed up at the last show, and you. So there were 2 people out of 800 at the hall that have never heard me perform before. So it's really, I already feel like such an imposter saying that. I'm already in my head going, what are you doing? Who cares? Who cares who I heard you sing? So this is it. That's like
the whole thing.
This is like the shadow self, the past life creeping in and knocking on my brain and saying, who do you think you are? So this is what it is. Like, so looking around at the audience on Friday night was like, well, all these people are here to see Jeff. And like, but we did the show together, and that's a whole group of people that have never heard me perform. And like at the end of, at the core, what's the purpose? Like, why am I wanting to perform? Why is this a thing that I do? It's not like, so does it matter that, I made a Facebook post and people, whatever, like it just taking it so personal and taking it as a sign or an indicator or whatever that this isn't for you. Why? Because my friends didn't show up at a show? I made new friends. Like, it's just, and I'm looking back, I'm trying to go over the past, I don't know. We've been playing for 8 years. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
2018 is when Mulberry Creek, we started playing music out. I don't think we had our name till around 2019.
Yeah.
But we started playing music outside of our house in front of people about 8 years ago. And so it's like, well, what's happened over that time? Well, I mean, we've stopped and started a bunch of times. And I've noticed when we commit to playing music, doors open. Like, it's just when we got our PA, it was like, we don't need a PA. Where are we going? I was like, I don't know. But if we have it, and then like 3 days later, we got a gig that we needed a PA for. We got like a lighting bank, and it was like, what are we getting this for? We don't have stage shows, but then we did a Mother's Day show a couple of years ago, and so it seems like when we commit to music stuff, doors open. It seems like when we do publishing stuff, there are a lot of tire kickers.
Yeah.
Like
it seems like more speed bumps than...
We put a bunch of posts out a couple of weeks ago, and I had one lady get in touch who wanted to do a kid's book. Great. And she told me all about it, and I said, okay, so here are your options. Yes, we can help you with your kids book. You can go buy How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer for $19 on all the platforms, or we can set up a consult. Whoosh. You know that, like in the cartoons where there's like a cloud and a zippy like line of someone taking off? It was another person hoping that for some reason I have taken over the job of Google and was more than happy, like, that I would do it for free.
That's one thing that people are, I guess, more comfortable with for music. People are less likely to say, "Can you come play for free to an event or whatever?" And it's like, so maybe that's one of the things that is easier for music, because people are like, yeah, musicians get paid to play.
More of a commodity.
It's more understood.
There's understood that there's a service being provided. And I don't know. I would love to get to a point in my life where I'm so independently wealthy that I don't need to make money or support my family. But like, why would I do it for free? Like, we do a podcast every single week. We have all the information you could possibly need in the podcast. And so if you're not going to listen to my podcast or buy the book, what relationship do we have where I'm complaining again, but it's like, what the... Anyway, my point to that is when we focus on music, because that is what I want to do. Like, I mean, I at least want to give it a college try. Like, it seems like the door's open. When we try to go in a different direction, it's like life gets in the way and says, how about this disappointing thing? How about this disappointing thing? How about this doesn't work out? How about your book isn't going to sell? It's all like, the books are out, so I don't have that hanging over my head.
It's not a like go with the flow, easy.
It's not flow. It's not flowing.
Yeah.
It's not flowing. The podcast is going well, but again, the podcast is completely different from publishing books and consulting, because this is like a therapy session with our community that we're building. Like, I love this. I love the people that get in touch after and say, "Oh, I totally understood what you were saying. I'm the same way." I love it. But this is not publishing. And so the whole big, oh my God, is it okay if we switch gears? Like, of course it is. We talked about periods for the first 20 minutes of this one.
I was recording something the other day and I had to I had to turn the camera off and back on to get at the 30-minute mark. Mm. And usually I can, if you do off, back on, it's a pretty quick thing. So like if I try to catch between sentences or whatever. Mm. But the other day I did that and it was like off, on. And then I looked back after a second and the second tap of the button didn't connect for some reason. So there's like a 10-second, it was 5 seconds probably, but.
Felt like a long time.
I was like, well, there's a big gap in the video. Sure. I was able to cut around it. It was okay.
It's funny when things like that happen, it feels like a really long time. It's like your brain slows down. And then when things are going well and you're having a good time, it's like time speeds up. So which is all tells me that time is not really all locked in like
it's
you
relative.
Think. Yeah, it really is. So anyway, but back, when we started the podcast, it really came from a place of, where are my friends at? Are they mad at me? Is that why they're not showing up? And so here's my advice. Here's what I've gleaned from all that this past week. If I went to play a gig and there was literally nobody in the room, that might be a sign. But again, if I show up and nobody's there, that means that the venue has agreed to book me, that I've agreed, that a whole bunch of other stuff has happened.
So it's still you're not just going out in our front yard and yelling at cars
or playing in the basement and wondering why nobody's listening. And so I think coming back to the core of it is like, why do I want to play? Well, I'm writing songs because I feel inspired to do it. They feel good. I like playing them. I like sharing them. I like connecting with people. And I think if I lock myself into, well, my friends don't show up, is kind of your friends know you in a certain way. And so if you're doing creative stuff, like I don't know if there's ever going to be a devout fan from your friend group.
Yeah. And I feel like we've said this a lot over the past year and a half of doing the podcast. Working on bringing strangers on board is the key, yep. Right?
Because, and this is like all the business gurus and all that stuff when they're telling you how to start a small business and the lifestyle coaches and all those things. They'll say like, you can have customers that become friends, but the idea of friends who become customers, it just doesn't work that way because they know you in a certain way. And if you're waiting, if I'm looking for reasons to stop doing music, I can list them off for you. I can tell you every stopgap, every single stop along the last 8 years. Like we stopped doing our radio show because one musician, he agreed to be on the show, but he wouldn't come into the studio. And he sent me to his people, and his people were like, yeah, he's not doing in-person interviews. And I was like, well, I just saw a clip on Facebook where he did it 2 days ago. And so instead of just saying no, he sent me to his handler, and the handler dealt with me, which was really embarrassing because I thought we were friends. But anyway, that was enough to go, okay, well, if I don't have enough clout to get this. And again, he agreed to be on the show, just not in the studio, which was the format for the Mulberry Creek Hour. We were having musicians come in and play an acoustic song and have a chat. And it worked really well because we were face to face and I really love the energy. So this person offered to be on the radio show, but like that's not the format. So if you're going to go on with like Tom Power, you're not going to dial it in and do a Zoom call where you don't turn your video on. Like this is the format of the show. So you're not really saying yes to it. So, but that was enough for me to go, I guess I'm not, okay, I'm done. And then there was I was doing songwriter circles at a local pub, and it was like I can tell you every single time I quit and so is it quitting? Because I didn't like delete my social media accounts.
Yeah, and sometimes a break is important.
Getting turned down for funding. Those are things that, like, okay, I guess this is a sign, and it's so devastating. But it's one of those things that keeps coming back. Stephen King talks about this in On Writing. The good ideas, or the things that you should be doing, or whatever it is, the stuff that's meant to come through, will keep knocking on the door. It's not like you miss your boat and it's never coming back. There is another boat on the way. And so that's kind of what I keep coming back to. For me, it's music. Like, the books are done. Like, I've written the books that I wanted to write, and maybe there's a couple more. There's a play that keeps nagging at me, like, how come you haven't finished it yet? Like, well, I mean, some crops take a little bit longer than others, and it's there. I haven't not done it. I haven't done it poorly, but I am, I guess, kind of waiting for some permission to do these things. And so that show on Friday was like, was the room full of people and familiar faces? Like, no, a couple of people showed up, and it was great to see them. But I'm looking at all of Jeff's friends, and it was like, oh, yikes, he's doing really well. Like, people really like him. But what I need to give myself a little bit of credit for was I did do a double bill with Jeff. Like, he invited me, and we did a double bill, and we put posters out, and we put them around downtown, and we put it on the, St. John's What's Happening page, and we did the marketing and stuff. Lots of marketing. And but was there like 1,000 people, like Louis Capaldi? Like, did I have a panic attack on stage and everybody finished my song? No. Did I have a panic attack on stage? Absolutely I did. Did I forget the words? Absolutely. Did I start over a couple times? Yes, I did. Did the sound system crap out 3 times during one song?
Crazy.
Also happened. So there was a whole lot of, it's like, but my anxiety, I think, translated into stuff going wrong with the electronic system, stuff going wrong. Like, did I invite anybody to the show? Also, no. Why? Because I invited like 100 people to Folk Night, and they all said they were going, and they didn't. And so I was like, well, I'm not telling anybody about this one. So what did that do? It hurt me. That's it. It's like I didn't get out of my own way. Because I'm sure if I had actually texted people and invite, because putting a Facebook event is useless. You might as well go out and just yell right into the wind.
Yeah.
No one cares about a Facebook event.
And it feels good to see people responding to a Facebook event, but then
they don't show up. Yeah. But if I text somebody and say, hey, I got a show going on next Friday, they'll engage, and they'll ask how things are going, and I'll ask how their life is going, and it's engaging. So, but then I got in my head for this show, and I was like, oh, I just told people about a show. I can't possibly tell them about another one. They don't want to know that I'm doing another show. What am I going to... And then I went to the extreme, and I was like, what am I going to do if I'm performing every week? What am I going to text everybody every Wednesday and tell them about my Friday? Like, so I, instead of just saying, I think my friends would like to know I'm doing a show, they didn't even know I was doing a show because, like myself, a lot of people are staying off Facebook because it feels like crap to be on there.
Yeah, that's fair. And now, how did you feel about the hour of the show? Because it was an 8 o'clock doors, and then Jeff started at like 8:30, 8:45 or something, and then we didn't get on stage. You didn't get on stage until 9:45.
Everything started on time. Jeff started right on time, and I also got to listen to somebody play for an hour that was absolutely beautiful. Like,
but we didn't start till late and get finished up until close to midnight or close to 11.
Didn't care for the late night show. No, that was not. I don't like being out that late.
I'd rather do stuff earlier.
Yeah. But I did. I mean, the great part of that story is that I heard a friend that I knew in a completely different capacity. I knew him as an actor because we did a show many, many years ago. And I knew one of his songs. And when he played Prettiest Light, a little misty-eyed in the back, I got to say. It's a beautiful song. It's on Bandcamp. I'll post a link in the notes for this week for this episode. But he did an hour of originals, and what a brilliant musician. So the good news is, from all of it, like, as much as I have this big crash after shows, and 2 shows in one night might have been a lot.
It was definitely a lot. We were exhausted.
There was no downtime in between. And like, I usually have a crash afterwards, and which I think might be mitigated a little bit if I have like some protein or a meal after a show. Like, I've heard I know a couple of professionals.
Oh, afterwards?
I talked to the Ennis sisters. Well, Maureen, one time after a show when she was on her partner was on the Mulberry Creek Hour with us, and I asked her if she has a crash out, and she said, well, we usually have a meal. We usually eat together after we do a show. And I think that might be the blood sugar, the anxiety, and all that stuff. Maybe having something in your belly to soak up all that.
And it's funny that just playing 2 songs for 5 minutes at the
was a rush.
Festival it was just as much energy expended, because it was just still waiting for a show, getting up on stage, hoping the people enjoy it, and it was still the whole, like, we could have played for an hour or the 5 minutes, and it was still like the same.
Exactly the same emotional roller coaster. So, but having 2 back to back was pretty fun. But by the end of it, I started off anxious that day because I had 2 shows.
Yeah.
And we were trying to navigate getting the kids home and all that stuff, and they were great. And I'm really glad they came to the first show, but I prefer to have shows where the kids can be there. They're kind of like, my guitar is kind of like a pacifier for me. I like having my guitar. I like having the kids nearby. If I could, I'd have the dogs also. I mean, ideally, you want to be as comfortable as possible. And that's why, these really fancy, famous people have their little dogs in their little bags.
You just reminded me of when we first got Maybe, our youngest dog, who's 3 now. She's going to be 4 this year. Anyway, we first got her. We went and played at the farmer's market that weekend and had a table. The boys had a little table set up with our merch and stuff. And Maybe was just laid on the table asleep. She was tiny, little cute cinnamon roll.
Oh, my God.
But it was funny how many people came over
to see the dog.
To see the puppy.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, it was like, we probably shouldn't have had a dog in there where they have all that food and stuff, but
on a table, nonetheless. But it's an experience to go through the emotion. Like, the self-care stuff gets harder. I know when the anxiety is multiplied like that, the self-care was even harder. The last thing I wanted to do was drink water. It was like, but that's part of navigating. Like, is this a sign that I shouldn't be doing it? Like, no, it's actually the opposite. I think it's very much right for me, and that's why my brain is absolutely...
sign you should do more to get more used to it, get more comfortable.
Yes, it's a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. So my brain is absolutely on fire. There's all these... I feel like there's just stuff being thrown at me, and it's like... But they're just distractions, and it's things that... okay, so check that off, or make the call, or do the thing, or get it off your list, and, go back to what you want to be doing. Because I keep coming back to it. Like, that's why our lives are completely immersed in music. And I said to Josh earlier today, like, we don't have radios around our house. We don't have CD players or tape players, or we got a record player here, but it's got a teddy bear on top of it and a bunch of stuff because it's not out very often. And they're just not, because we're not out driving around. We're not consuming the music like we used to, which is also a big change in our lifestyle. Because we used to drive around a lot.
That's true, yeah. We just hear whatever the bus driver has on.
And sometimes that's a really weird podcast. And sometimes, like, we were on the bus yesterday and Peter heard a Michael Jackson song and started singing along. Like, how do you know Michael Jackson song?
So we came home and watched the new Michael movie.
Yes, which was fantastic. It was a little abrupt. It ended didn't really...
You thought that was going to be his whole life.
Yeah.
But it was...
I thought it was going to be some real juicy stuff in there, but it was like, we already know this stuff.
Section of his life, yeah.
Yeah, very small
section.
It was
good, though.
But it was
very
a lot
positive.
of cool, very cool perspective on...
Yeah.
So, which is funny because he had all these ideas and he called them short films. His music videos he called short films, and he was kind of the creator, and he had visions of what he wanted in there. And he had lots of affirmations on his mirror, and it was produced by his brother and sister. And he was played by his nephew. So, like, pretty seemed to me to be very true. Like, that at least like an authority on who would have actually known what his life was like.
And there's a scene in it where they do the Thriller video, and we watched the Thriller video after we watched the movie, and the portrayal of the shooting of the Thriller video in the movie was incredibly accurate.
Shot
it was
for
like
shot.
they actually shot it on the same lot, so the same buildings were in the background. It was like they did it step by step exactly. It was crazy how accurate it was.
And it took like 3 or 4 years altogether between all the auditions and
It was
rehearsals
a lot,
and all that stuff. So really well done. What I took from it, what I learned, how I took it personal, was that he had music videos, that he made them into short films, and he had kind of a vision for what he wanted for different things. And it was like, oh, yeah. So, and then ironically, it came up in my news feed today that there was a memory from 5 years ago when we put out our video for Garden Party.
Oh, wow.
And there was someone liked it. Someone found the reel somewhere and liked it today, so it showed up in my notifications. And that's funny because we did put up a post this past weekend doing a call for people to be on the podcast who are musicians, so they can, if they're interested in coming on playing an acoustic song or two. And we're also looking for people to put together songwriter circles. So we put that call out, and so we got a lot of interesting responses from that. That's kind of a funny little microcosm or a little snapshot of life. I put on a picture that I made, picture that Henry took for me at the show.
At the Multicultural Festival.
And I made a poster out of it.
We hired our boys temporarily as photographers and videographers while we were on
They
stage.
helped me carry gear too when
did they?
we got back. Yeah,
nice.
Absolutely, they did. And they were, when I was leaving with Henry, he was like, "Mom, do I need to carry anything?" He was really great. They're great roadies. But I made a poster. I didn't use AI, and I posted it. And so the responses, very clearly, it says, we are looking for people to be on the podcast, and if you're interested in being in a songwriter circle. And I put a Google form where you can fill it out and say, tell us about yourself, how to get in touch with you, links to your music and all that stuff. And it's really funny, the responses that you get. Now, some of them might be bots. I don't know. But some people will just like drop a link to their YouTube. What do you want me to do with that?
I'll be waiting for you to get in touch.
This is not communication. Clear instructions. Here's how to be on the podcast. Here's what we're looking for. Someone said, where? Okay. Someone said, interested. Like, okay. Okay. But like, so in the bigger scheme of things, if you're looking for life advice, and here, I'll give you some. The call for guests on the podcast and the invitation to be a part of paid songwriter circles. If your level of engagement is, here's a link to my YouTube, if I get 100 responses and there's somebody who's going to fill out the form and send me links that I can go check on.
Do their part of the work. I'm
going to do the easy people first. I may never get to your YouTube link. And in fact, it's pisses me off a little bit. Like, what do you want me to do with that? In case you don't know, there's no money in podcasting. This is for free. This is volunteer. So let's help each other.
Pick up some slack.
Do the work. Do a little bit of the work. So if you're half-assing it, like, if you're like, when you're half-assing stuff, you can expect to get half-assed. It's a line in Garden Party. The law of attraction is a scientific fact. Whatever you're putting out is what you're getting back. So if you're getting a bunch of bullshit back, you're probably sending bullshit out. If one person got in touch and said, "Can you help me launch my music career?"
No. Can you help me launch my music career?
I should respond back to.
Can you help me?
To the person who said where, I should reply and say here. To the person who said I'm interested, I should say back, me too.
For like the reply to the person that put their YouTube link with
my YouTube
a link to this podcast on YouTube.
One person said, "I'd love to listen to your podcast."
How would you possibly do that?
It's in the Google Doc.
Maybe they don't.
Some
maybe
of
they
this
don't have
stuff
Google
is like,
on their
am I
phone.
not being clear enough? And it's like, but I think there's something about when you're ready, the next step becomes really, really clear.
Yeah.
So, did I half-ass it? Like, should I have just had that guest on Mulberry Creek? Should I have just done a phone-in? Because it would have been a really great interview. And I was just devastated and said, nope. Like, when I did Folk Night, for example, a couple of months ago, when I went to message the guy who was in charge of booking, we were already connected. He had asked me 2 years ago to do a Folk Night. Maybe I just wasn't ready. But when sometimes it's kind of eerie to see how much of the stuff you want that you already have in your life. And I'm looking at the sound wave over there on the recording, and it's like Vickie.
It's only
Josh.
a small section of our conversation. See, I don't know if you can tell. See where the lens is just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing what you're currently saying, really.
Yeah. But there's a whole lot of me, and like you going lip. Yep.
I'm here.
So I feel like I'm bogarting the show.
You're not. I'm here. If you got stuff to say, that's what it's for. That's what the podcast is for. That's why
I started off with absolutely no direction.
That's why people love us.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh. So we did start doing interviews, and
we do have one done. One is in the can.
We got one in the can. Yep.
So you'll see that soon.
Oh, and we also have a songwriter circle booked for the ship in on the 6th of August. That's the day after the regatta, unless the regatta gets postponed. The regatta, in case you don't know, if you're listening from anywhere but Newfoundland, the regatta is...
If you're listening from anywhere outside of Newfoundland, you might know it as regatta. That's what they say in other places.
Okay. The regatta at Kitty Vitty, not Quita Vita, and it's not regatta.
Queedy Vitty.
If you come to Quita Vita looking for the regatta, we're gonna dunk you in Quita Vita.
The Quita Vita regatta.
Yeah.
Quita Vita regatta.
The regatta is the longest sporting event in North America. It's the longest running.
How many have they done?
I think we're up to like 180 something. It's a lot.
Yearly, yeah.
Every year. And so it's also one of the only sporting events that is based on the weather and can sometimes go on different days. So like one year so it goes on the first Wednesday in August. Last year we had the Canada Summer Games in town, so they moved it back a week. There was 1 year, so and it's about wind. It's not about rain. They can row in the rain. But if the wind is too much, it's just such a big strike against the rowers that, they're trying to beat records every year. So they will actually cancel. They call it at 6:30 in the morning. And if it is going ahead, you'll hear under every single radio station will play Up the Pond. That's a song. And so if you wake up to Up the Pond, the regatta is going ahead. If it's not being played, then everybody's really sad because a lot of people play regatta roulette, which is they go out the night before and get really drunk and
hoping that they don't have work the next day.
Yes. Most people have the regatta day off. Federal government employees do not.
So then when they postpone it, you got to go to work. And
so it's regatta roulette. Yeah. You might be going to work hungover. And of course, whatever. So if it's postponed, it will go to the Thursday. If the Thursday doesn't go ahead, it'll move to the Saturday. And so there was one time when I was about 15 or 16 years old where I had friends who rode in the regatta. This is a sad story. You brace for this one. The regatta was canceled on Wednesday. There was some on Thursday, and some of the races had to be postponed because the weather, it got really windy in the afternoon. So there was some championship races held on Saturday. And so I had friends at the time who were 15 or 16, and one of the gentlemen who rode that day, and I think they won their race, but later that night he took his parents' car and died in a car crash. That's how I remember.
After the race or before the race?
After the race, they had won, and they were celebrating that evening with their friends, and he took his parents' car out and died instantly in a crash. Yeah, wow. Awful. So, but that's why I remember that's how I know the schedule is. That's how it all gets postponed. So this year, the regatta will be on the 5th of August on the regularly scheduled Wednesday, unless it gets postponed to a Thursday, or it could go on Saturday. So our show at the ship
is on the 6th. And that's at night anyway.
So potentially the regatta day, it's held the night before. We go to, and there's also a big thing if you're in St. John's. There's a Regatta Eve concert that's free at Lakeside, and there's a whole bunch of food trucks, and it is the best part of the regatta.
I'm going to go back for a second. I think that the audience that would go to a songwriter's circle at the ship downtown on a Thursday night is probably a different audience of people that would go to the regatta.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I feel like the people that are like rowing people are different than like music people. Is that
I don't know. I don't know any. I don't
high
know
school
any
cliques.
I can't do a
Venn diagram.
Venn diagram of who would go to what. I have no idea who's going to go. This is kind of where I'm caught. Like the people that I don't want a room full of people. I saw a clip from a John Mulaney interview with Mike Birbiglia, and I think I talked about it last week, where he said he'd like to do a show, he had an idea for it, and he said, and no comps. And there's a reason for that. Like, if you're forcing your friends to go, they're not going to engage like a person who just enjoys music and is out for a night on a date, or just wants to go hear some music, or is thinking about becoming a musician and wants
engagement is the key there.
Wants to see how bad other people are. That's why most people go to open mics. But it's kind of like the audience that you want to attract is the ones who are on your frequency and who are there for, they're matching you in some way. That's why they're in the room. Like, you don't want people who are forced to be there because you're friends with them.
Yeah.
Or because they feel obligated, or the word support is kind of a funny thing. Like, I don't need support. Like, if that's kind of one of those things, like if I, like the Leftorium, when Ned Flanders opened Leftorium, there's enough left-handed people in the world to support his business right. and have it be very successful. So if you're relying on your friends who are mostly right-handed, your company's not going to. So Josh just turned the camera on for the second time. I didn't realize see that half hour just flew by. Isn't that amazing? Okay, regatta. August 6th, we have Jeff Ronan, who plays under the name Weak Smile. We have Avalon Stanley, and we have Zelia. That's our first. So that's the first booked one. I had the date for August. That's the first one that Shipping had available. We also have one for October. However, over the next little while, I'm going to be trying to find a spot for June Songwriter Circle, a July Songwriter Circle, another one for September.
There's lots of fun venues in town and lots more singer-songwriters around.
And so, but as far as giving myself permission to do that.
Yeah. I think that going to more open mics is a really good way to meet new songwriters that are local. Like, because there's people that we don't know.
Well, it's doing it the hard way. Certainly the, not organic, what's the word?
I think that's organic, going out and actually meeting people instead of putting it on. Because if you put something on Facebook, like a call for songwriters, you'll get the people that are on your list and the people that are following your band page. But like people that are in different circles or...
people who want to have their music be heard and want to share it.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that you're going to get at an open mic. So, and it's a chance to play, which also...
And you can hear them before you book them.
Yeah, there's also that. So
that's not important.
So the thing but that's what I want to be doing. Like right now, at this stage of my music career or whatever you want to call it, I really like songwriter circles. I love hosting. And I loved listening to the stories before people play their songs. And so,
And there is an open mic on Thursday. If anybody in town wants to come and play some songs or listen to some local singer-songwriters, we're going to go to the open mic at Theater Hill, which is the Majestic Theater down on Duckworth Street and New Gower Street. And that's a nice spot.
Baraka's
And
hosting.
Baraka
He's
is
amazing.
really cool. Super
So it's
nice
a chance
guy.
to hang out with Baraka. So maybe
Right.
if we ever do a songwriter circle, that would be amazing. Or if I just get to hang out with him on Thursdays when he does this thing every so often, like that's also great. But I think the whole community, I haven't quite figured out the demographics, or I know there'll be a lot of tourists around in August going to the ship just looking for some local stuff to enjoy, and to be on that list is really cool. And
yeah,
so
that's a good time for getting new fans.
I think every single time I get back up, my skin gets a little tiny bit thicker, and I'm a little bit more determined and a little less inclined to take things as a sign, because it's not always going to be, you're not always going to sell out the room. You're not always going to whatever. Sometimes the gear is going to mess up, and my guitar messed up. You heard it. I was tuning the guitar, and then I'd play a chord, and it was like, wah.
And you were saying the strangest notes when you were tuning. You were like, that's an F, and it was like you were on the B string or something. It was crazy.
Right, because it was showing up on the tuner as an F. Like, how did it get to
an
F?
It was like when the tuner battery starts dying, and it's like just
That's
giving you no, I'm saying
that's
it was,
not what my battery does. Mine just
doesn't do anything.
Just
So mine,
cuts out,
I've got a one that I really like on the back of my acoustic guitar, but when it's when the battery's dying, it's just like R, Q. What is this note?
Yeah.
It just gives
Someone
me
did ask me that, but our friend Mark showed up at the multicultural event, and that was fantastic. It was so nice to see a friendly face. And we knew lots of people, and we met lots of people. That's like, I don't mean they were great experiences. It was just a lot of Jeff's friends showed up, and it was like, oh my God, am I like really behind in this stuff? Or like, is this, what am I doing wrong? And it was like, you know what? That's in my head. That was because I had already done a show and skipped over. We ended up getting there kind of late. I was going to run around the corner to go to Chess's and get a plate of fries before I started, and I didn't eat for hours before the show. So my blood sugar was low, and
I ate everything at the multicultural thing. It was so much delicious food. Like, I had some chicken from the African place. There was a empanada from the Mexican place. Yeah. What else was there? It was Indian food. Oh,
There's
it was
Ukrainian
all
food.
so good. And there was some kind of there was a cod. There was some people making cod chowder that was really delicious. It had celery in it. I'm not a huge fan, but it was so good. The broth and the fish. Yeah. So sorry you didn't get food, but I ate a lot.
Which is great.
Nerves.
Well, it's all part of it, right? So there's got to be some, and I also didn't have any CBD that day, which would have made everything so much easier, and I would have had an appetite, and I wouldn't have been so nervous, and going in between shows wouldn't have made it. But like, that's all self-care. So I'm really glad that all happened, because I won't do it again. I will take better care of myself next time, and I appreciated the people that showed up for me. It was just, there was so many people there for Jeff.
Yeah.
Which, again, how petty am I that I'm not just celebrating that all those people showed up for Jeff, because he's an amazing musician and he deserves to have people coming out and support him.
Yeah. And secondary to that, lots of people got to see you that had never seen you before or heard your music.
I mean, again, I feel like making a joke about that and being self-deprecating, but like, where is that getting me? And I tell myself, like, that's why people cheer or clap for me, because I'm so self-deprecating, and then when I do get something right, they're like, oh, we won with her. So I have this fear that eats away at me, like they want me to be a big loser. That's the only way for me to ever connect. And it's like, this is such bullshit. It's all, again, Julia Cameron has it all so, there's the words escaping me, but she has it put into such good, articulated so well. Of these are such normal things that happen when it matters. I think that's the key for me, is when it matters, because the rest of the stuff, quite honestly, the publishing stuff was kind of easy. Like, I'm also really good at accounting. I'm also good at lots of things I hate, but it's not what I want to be doing, because I don't get any joy out of it. Yes, I could do it. I could probably have a really great job right now for anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 a year easily, because I have degrees and experience. But it's stuff that sucks the soul out of me, and I feel like we've had so many experiences that were like come to Jesus moments of, is this really what you want to be doing? Like, there's nothing else you want to, and it's like, no, it comes back over and over and over that this is what I want to be doing. Last year, the experience running into somebody named Joe, when I had a son who died named Joe, and I wrote a song that, am I going to do anything with it? Like, these are things that
Yep.
Like, that was a sign from the universe. I'm taking that as a sign because is this a person that's going to be in my life? I don't know. But it was certainly something that helped me write that song that I think is going to go well, and people liked it so far when I've shared it. So, am I ever going to get the musical written? Again, it's going to take some internal permission to myself to say, write a bad play. It doesn't need to be good. It just needs to be done. And so the first one's going to suck. It's going to suck. There's no question. But it'll be charming and sort of funny at moments. But are people going to walk away and tell all their friends about it, and I'll have to do a tour it in Toronto? Probably not.
I think that's the one thing I keep seeing is you got to be okay doing something bad before you can do something good.
Yeah.
Like, not that you're going to do something bad, but you have to be okay with the possibility
100% I will.
that it's not going to be perfect the first time.
But it's that permission to, it's okay that it's bad.
Right.
That's totally fine. And go back to the first day we landed in Newfoundland. Not the first day ever. We had been living away for 11 years, and we came back to town to visit my parents, and we landed in town after our camper exploded. I don't know if I've already talked about this on the podcast, but it was a whole thing. We were trying to rush to the boat. The truck broke down in the Walmart parking lot in Argentia, or North Sydney, and we had to get AAA, CAA to come out and fix it. It all happened. They didn't have the parts, and then they did have the parts, and it just got done just in the nick of time, and we were beating it right to the boat, and the side of the camper that we had completely redone flew off the side of the highway, and the window and the mattress was all flying down the highway, and we Frankensteined it back together and got to the boat, and we got to my parents' house, and I went to St. John's to the Nickel Film Festival film school in a day, which is coming up again in June or July. But I did this seminar with Ruth Lawrence and Sherry White, who was a prolific actor, director, writer. She's produced so much stuff. She's amazing. She said to her best friend as she was walking out the door, what advice would you give to new filmmakers? And they both agreed that the best advice was don't be afraid to do shitty work. And I sat there in my 40s that day and cried, and I pulled Ruth aside on the sidewalk, and I was like, it's too late for me, right? And she was like, absolutely not. And then I ended up working with Ruth on stuff, and Ruth has a copy of my first book that I decided to, it's just all these things that come together. And it's like, but it's not like, they're not stops. They're like, it's almost like the universe saying, how much do you actually want this? I don't know if that's what it is, or if it's just you're putting your own. John Mulaney had a great line in the podcast the other night. He said that he's had a really good life, and he said all the things that have been in my way are things that I put there myself. And I was just like, what? He's been through rehab and all this. He's learned a lot. He's had the big lessons. But
he was one of the other voices in Big Mouth.
Yes, he was one of the writers.
Bringing it back
He was one of the writers. That's one of the, and he's really proud of it, and he should be. And that was kind of a funny thing when he was talking about the work he's done. You just got to watch the podcast that Mike Birbiglia did with him. It was fantastic. But he was talking about when people come up to him on the street and mention these things that, like, you love John Saturday Night Live, I love John Big Mouth. And he was like, I'm really proud of those things. And to say that you're proud of stuff, like, I saw an interview with Billie Eilish, and she was like, I listen to my own music all the time. Like, oh my God, what a narcissist. Like, I did not just call her a narcissist. What I'm saying is, there's another musician we really like, Childish Gambino, who listens to his own music. And so when he picks people up to go on a date and he's got his own music playing, they go, you like your own stuff? And he's like, yeah, that's why I make it. Yeah. So I think getting my head around, I do like the songs that I write. Now, do I sing them all day long? Or do I put on Chris Stapleton at night? Yes, I do. Reba. I have so many other artists that I love, but I also like what I'm making. And I think being okay with that is going to have to be okay for everybody else too. Yeah. And so if my friends aren't showing up at my shows, maybe that's a good thing, because they just make me nervous anyway.
There you go.
But there's like a time and a place. And so maybe...
And we want to get more strangers on board.
Well, it's strangers is friends you haven't met yet.
That's right.
But like, who knows? Because I've met people. If I had 0 people, I think that would be a different conversation. If there was literally no ever any feedback that this is a good thing or I like what you're doing, then I would have to say, people really hated what I'm doing. But, that's not true. That's not. And so if I'm kinder to myself, and that's the thing too, if you're in a bad mood, you can't remember those things.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like the same
Just
thing.
Negative.
The same thing that makes time go slow or fast is exactly the same thing that makes you put you on a frequency of you can't even remember when somebody was nice to you. But when I'm really nice to myself, I can remember people have cried when certain songs were played. I remember people coming up. A lady wrote to me a couple of weeks ago, and she said something you said at a show a few weeks ago inspired me to be courageous. And I finished a song that I was working on, and it was because of what you said. And like, I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe she would have found her way to it eventually anyway. But the feedback is that I'm making a small difference. And maybe not in anybody else's life, but certainly in my own. And so that's worth the growing a bit of a thicker skin, getting back up. And I got a song about that. It's called Loser Anthem.
There you go.
So that's where we are.
I think that's a good...
I don't know if that helped anybody listening at all, but man, oh man, like it's just... I thought it was funny when we were coming down to talk about when I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about on the podcast, I was like, I think I want to talk about perimenopause. And it was like, but I was planning like, what am I going to say first? And I was like, well, that I would have to identify as a woman. Isn't that weird? Like, that seems like so, you're looking at me like, Vickie, I've been married to a woman for 20 years. But like, I have never, ever, I always felt like I was getting it wrong. I've never felt feminine or girly or always a little too rough, a little too loud, a little too whatever. My hair's frizzy, whatever. There's all these things that like, and she likes hockey and I'm talking about myself in the third person, but I've never felt like a girl. I was never treated like, in my family growing up, I was a tomboy. I had 3 brothers. Nobody was afraid to punch me in the face. Mom, dad, or my brothers. My mom didn't punch me in the face. But I got hooked across. I got backhanded and slapped like all the boys. And the boys bit the shit out of me. So I was never treated like... There was never a boy who was afraid of my brothers. Ever. Like, oh, I better not do anything to Vickie because her brother... No, my brothers were actually sending me out to get into fights. We had neighbors with a sister. They had a little sister the same age as mine, and they sent us out to do like a little, what do you call it? Like a chicken fight.
A little street fight.
They put us in a street fight and like fought, like literally pitted us against each other to see who would win. I was like 4.
Sorry.
What's this about?
I think you were talking about identifying as a woman.
See? Was that girly what I just did? But I just never, I think it's funny that at 48, I'm hesitant to talk about periods or perimenopause or menopause. Did I say periods?
Periods.
But I've just never had that space, and that's not true anymore because I've been with you for 20 years. But I just didn't grow up at that space to be a girl ever. And so talking about girl things now is like, well, I'd have to tell people I'm a woman first.
I don't think there's any question of that.
Maybe in your head. Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me.
I mean, bless you. I've been a mom for 15 years. Like I was pregnant 3 times. I breastfed. I've worn dresses. I have I have trouble finding shoes because my feet are really small. And so unless there's like sparkles or they light up or play music, it's really hard to find really cool shoes. Or I have to stuff a bunch of tissue down the bottom to get. But this is, again, another reason that I feel like performing would be easier if I could find cool boots. Yeah. I got 3 or 4 pairs upstairs, but they all kill my feet. So
we both have trouble finding shoes. You can't find them small enough, and I can't find them big enough.
We're like Peggy Hill and Hank Hill, but the opposite, because Peggy Hill is the one with the really big feet. But it's it's a funny thing because you assume she must know she's a girl. Like someone said to me the other day, "Oh, you don't strike me as someone who's insecure or in her head about like what? Are you serious?" People don't know, but if you watch the podcast, you do know. Because I talk about it every single week, which is a good way to get to know me. So it's really funny that I put out this vulnerable thing every single week, and people could really know me really well, and they just put a link to their YouTube channel instead of, engaging. Why would you want to be on a podcast that you've never heard?
Yeah, do the work. Do the work, man.
It blows the mind. But good news.
Yep.
May 29th. Breadwinner is coming out in theaters.
There's that. Yep.
I cannot wait. I got my homemade Nate Land shirt here that Josh made for me for Christmas last year or the year before. And the Breadwinner's coming out. And so some places are doing a Nate rate. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, and this is not this is not a sponsored at all. I wish it was. Here in St. John's, you can go to Cineplex and they have a gift package. You can buy like $30 in gift cards, and there's 3 coupons. There's one for a free bag of popcorn, and there's 2 buy one get one free for adult tickets. So
it's pretty good. We've done that before, and it's pretty nice.
We're not doing the Nate rate as far as I know here in St. John's, but you can buy the Cineplex gift cards and get a couple of buy one get one free passes and a free bag of popcorn.
If you like going to the movies, if you have kids or a partner and you want to get out for an evening, it's a lot of fun.
Go see the Breadwinner. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. And also, like, I've been seeing all these clips. My news feed is so fantastic because it has so much Nate Bargatze in it. And man, oh man, his early stuff, his late stuff, his middle stuff. He is just so sweet. I just love him so much. He just cleanses the palate. He's so sweet.
I don't think there's anybody that's listened to our podcast that thinks, what is Vickie's stance on Nate Bargatze?
But what if you're listening for the first time and you don't know he exists? Because I think that's a crime for people to not know. If you don't know he exists, but again, someone could have listened to 58 episodes of this podcast and had no idea. And then today they might be like, I could really use some good, clean humor just to make me feel better about life and about my whatever. And maybe they're going to discover Nate today.
That's true.
Maybe it's been there the whole time and it just only today resonated. So that's why I think it's important. Repetition is important.
I'm right there with you. I agree.
It's awesome. And I'm looking forward to the movie. It looks absolutely fantastic. And I hope he does more. And I hope he, comes on our podcast. And I hope I get to meet him. And I hope I get to go see some of his shows. And again, I thought comedy was the route to that. I really figured 2 years ago when I tried comedy, I was like, I'm going to be a comedian and I'm going to go to Zanies. And I think I might still do that. But underlying that was, well, I really want to be doing music, but how would I ever get in the same room as Nate Bargatze as a musician? And you could talk to Noah Kahn. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Noah got to do the Christmas special. And I saw a video of him. I might have talked about this last week, but he came home and put a song. Oh, it was on the interview with Becca. So Noah Kahn talks about how he had a bad day and came home and just sat in front of his camera and just did a couple of lyrics that he kind of had bouncing around in his head, and that he was going to delete it the next day. And when he checked it, it had thousands of comments and likes, and that was the beginning of Season of the Sticks, which is hugely popular, and he got to play that on the Christmas special, on Nate Bargatze's Christmas special. Yeah. So, but it started off as he was having a bad day and decided to share something on his TikTok or on his, I don't know if it was TikTok or not, but he decided to share a snippet of a song, which I didn't know you could do. So lots of work to be done, which is exciting. There's lots of things that we could try to put music out there, and I have tried almost zero of it. I thought I would, but again,
the low tens.
Putting a whole lot of effort.
Lots more.
But I thought I was doing a lot of work back in the day when we were doing the Mulberry Creek Hour. I thought that would be a way people would discover me.
Yeah.
And maybe it did. I don't know. But it wasn't. It was a whole lot of effort that didn't have a whole lot of
return.
I don't know. It did have a lot of returns. It was really that one person that didn't come on that really devastated me. And so I quit. But then we came back to it. We've been doing this for another year and a half. So the good stuff will come back to you. I don't think there's any way to push it away. It's just sometimes you're just meant to do stuff that because it feels good, because it's something that you're good at, and because it's something that the world is trying to manifest. Because people are looking for stuff that feels good and helps them escape from their lives. And whether it's a podcast or a book or entertainment or a song or a comedy set. And I think I want to try comedy again too, because I think there's a whole gold mine of menopause jokes.
There you go.
I think the set I had going in my head this week was how crazy it must be to be on the other side of me during those episodes, because wow. Yeah, it's a lot. But they're like different personalities. It's like completely different people. And so how funny must that be to be on the other side of that? And so I don't know if an audience in the open mics that happen here, I don't know if they'll appreciate it exactly, but maybe I'll tell the jokes on here.
Got to work it out somewhere.
Or maybe I'll just write them as blog posts and put them on Substack. Because that's another way to do stuff too. Because it's not always, maybe the joke or the poem or the whatever is showing up and it's going to be, you don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it's a part of a book, maybe it's part of a short film, maybe it's whatever, but you don't know sometimes. When the ingredients are on the table, sometimes you don't know what the recipe even is. So anyway, that's my final thought for the week.
I like it. Good episode. So this is episode 8 of season 2 of the Are You Mad at Me podcast.
I'm Vickie Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan.
And if you're listening to this, check out the socials. Go check out Mulberry Creek. And just
Mulberry
go check
Creek
out
music.
the videos. And if you're a musician, absolutely get in touch. We can do Zoom interviews. And then, you never know what towns we're going to end up in doing songwriter circles.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it. Watch out, world. I'm doing it. Can you put little musical notes coming up out of me for that?
Bling, bling, bling.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.